Hey guys, my name is Francisco Hernandez, and today I'm doing another episode in my Building the Shot series, which is a series that I started recently where I pretty much do my best to break down everything that I can think of about how a single photo of mine was created. In today's episode, we're going to go over this image on the screen right here of Destiny that I took not too long ago. I actually went live at this photo shoot, so I'm going to actually make an Instagram TV episode from this shoot so you guys can check it out. Or if you guys want me to upload it here to YouTube directly, I could also do that as well. So this shoot was actually an interesting one in the sense that I wasn't feeling up to doing the photo shoot and I kind of like pushed myself to do it. I could have canceled it, but I wanted to go ahead and just see if I can create anything that I would like in terms of photos, despite the different conditions that I wasn't really liking. So I wanted to go over some of those reasons in this video, and that's pretty much the reason why I wanted to make this video to begin with. To start, the biggest thing that was bugging me about the entire shoot while I was taking the photos and before I even started the photo shoot, and what made me want to cancel, was the fact that it was going to be a cloudy day. I had been wanting to shoot in a lot of sun, and there's been days this past week and a week before the photo shoot where it was just absolutely beautiful outside, and I wanted to do a photo shoot in that condition. And the day of this photo shoot happened and it was a cloudy day, and I just felt like just so down. I wanted to just cancel the photo shoot, but I'm really glad that I didn't cancel the shoot because I was able to create this shot on the screen that I'm pretty happy with, and as well as a couple of other photo shoots. And it was honestly just a great experience overall, getting to shoot with the model, getting to know her and her mom who was there, and also just hanging out with my friend Jeff, who was also at the photo shoot. So I'm actually really happy that I pushed and continued with doing that photo shoot. Some of the things that went wrong are things that I'm going to talk about right now. For one, the biggest thing that was kind of bugging me was the weather conditions. I didn't really like the weather conditions, but I still continued. The second thing that was kind of a bit of an issue was the fact that this is something I actually discovered after the fact. So I wanted to mention those because it's still a fail that I think is important to mention. Is the fact that I shot in crop mode the entire photo shoot. So all the photos that you're seeing, including this one on the screen right here, is a photo that's in crop mode. So it's not full frame. I could have got better depth of field. I could have, different things, had a better resolution image, a more megapixel filled resolution photo, even though I did shoot with the A7R4, I believe. Let me just check this real quick. Yep, I did shoot with the Sony A7R4, so that's something that I could have had more megapixels to work with in post, but honestly, even a cropped A7R4 photo is still a lot to work with. The next thing that was a big fail on my part was something that I didn't think was an issue. The Samyang 35 f1.4 lens that I used it is still messed up. It started to fall apart shortly after a year of owning it, and I don't think I've ever dropped it or anything. But despite the fact that it is a little bit broken and held together by gaffer's tape, I thought that the lens was operating fine. I've done a couple of photo shoots with it in the broken condition that it's in, and it still worked out fine. But I guess at this photo shoot, something extra happened in the fact that there's an element in the base of the lens, I'm assuming, that moved around and acted as a sort of tilt shift lens. So the bottom of the image right there that you're seeing on the screen is a little bit blurry, a little too blurry on the bottom half of the image. It actually shouldn't be that way. It should be at least somewhat in focus. Her feet should be in focus, but the entire bottom frame of the image is blurred out. I was actually noticing this effect as I was doing the photo shoot, but again, my mood was just thrown off by the weather, and I thought it was just me being a little extra and not noticing that the image was fine, but it wasn't fine. The Samyang 35 was messed up, and I actually did a photo shoot today with Jeff again, and I noticed the effect as it was happening, and when I kind of pushed the lens towards the camera, it kind of went back to normal and how it usually operates. But yeah, I definitely need another 35 1.4. Another thing that's kind of a fail and kind of not really a fail, but it is a fail in my opinion because this is something that I do try to avoid, and that's the fact that I didn't know the top that the model Destiny was going to wear. She was originally going to wear a cheetah print top, but I didn't like the pattern because it's a little too distracting in my opinion. So I asked her if she could choose another top. And she did choose another top, but I didn't get to contact her before the photo shoot happened and figure out what that top was going to be. This is something that I try to avoid all the time because knowing the color of the outfit and the styling can greatly impact, how the photo shoot is gonna go, because I don't know if one location that I thought was nice is gonna work with that outfit and different things like that. When Destiny arrived at the photo shoot, I wasn't liking the top originally because I do try to avoid neon colors because I feel like they're too bright, but it ended up working out really nicely because the Blue Hour Sky complemented the orange tones of the outfit. And actually, I got really lucky with this. Later on, as we did the photo shoot, as it happened, this new bar that was opening up right next to where we were shooting at, the owner stepped outside and said that we could shoot at the bar. And there was a lot of orange tones in there too that kind of complemented her top. So I got really lucky with her top, and I'm actually glad that this fail happened on my part. My point is, there's a lot of things that can go wrong at a photo shoot, and it's up to us as the photographer to overcome those obstacles and still give the client the best photos that we can take. For me, in this specific photo shoot, I forgot to ask the model what her outfit was gonna be, her top, what color was gonna be, the styling. I forgot that my Samyang 35 wasn't fully functional, and I should check to make sure that it operates fine. And I forgot to take off crop mode on the Sony a7R IV that I was using to take pictures with. And there's a lot of things that you can forget at a photo shoot and just in general in life. And one thing that kind of makes it easier on you to remember, or actually not even remember, but one thing that's going to remember for you is Dashlane. Dashlane is a mobile and desktop app that gives you a shortcut for everything that you do online. It stores all of your passwords, your credit card information, and your personal information, and stores all of that securely in one place so that you can make the internet a one-click autofill experience. The way that it works is you download this free app, which is available across all devices and platforms. You create a master password to protect all of your data. And what's good about that is that Dashlane doesn't even save that master password. So even if for some reason they were to get hacked, all the encrypted info would be useless to hackers. And lastly, you sync all of that information, your online accounts, your credit card accounts, your passport addresses, and pretty much everything that's important to you. Dashlane is all about the convenience when it comes to optimizing your online life. You shouldn't have to manually input credit card information, addresses, passport information, or any sort of important information that you might be typing in daily ever again. You shouldn't have to do that, and you won't have to do that with Dashlane. As a password manager, Dashlane saves all of your passwords, and it can even generate new passwords for you. So if you ever have an instance where you create an account and it wants you to make some bizarre, secure, multi-level kind of protected password, you can generate a password with Dashlane, and it'll go ahead and just give you something very complex, and you can save it in Dashlane so you don't have to remember it either. What's cool about Dashlane is it even tells you how healthy or not your passwords, your current passwords are. So I know for me, for example, I have one account that I have a really dumb password on there that I need to change, and I actually will change after making this video. So if I were to show that account on my Dashlane account, it'll tell me that it's extremely weak and I need to change it. So I can easily do so with Dashlane, creating that complex password using the app and going ahead and making my account more secure. Dashlane is all-in-one, so it acts as your digital wallet, so you don't have to have your credit cards in your hand as you're about to order something online, which a lot of us photographers do. And it also acts as the password manager, like I said before, so it saves the passwords. You can generate new complex passwords, and then Dashlane saves that for you. And it also is a security alert service. So if one of your accounts is trying to get hacked, Dashlane is going to notify you about that. And the best thing about all of this is that Dashlane is very, very user-friendly, so anybody can use it. Dashlane has two plans available. They have a free version and a premium version. The free version can be downloaded on one device for a lifetime, and the premium version can be downloaded on as many devices as you'd like. If you guys are interested in trying out Dashlane, you can use the link in the description area below. That'll allow you to download the app completely free on your first device. And actually, by using that same link, you can get a free 30-day trial to the premium version, and you don't even need to enter any sort of credit card information, so there's no compromise. Again, guys, this app is completely free, and it actually makes your life easier, so why not try it out? By supporting companies that support me, you're really helping me out and allowing me to continue to make content for you that's completely free. Not sure about you guys, but any chance I can get to make my life easier and simpler, I'm gonna take it. So for example, at this photo shoot with Destiny, if something were there to remind me that, hey, you're shooting in crop mode, or hey, your lens is kind of messed up, so you should check the focus and make sure everything's working fine, then I definitely would have taken that chance, especially if it was something that was for free. But let's go ahead and continue on with this photo on the screen because there's so much more that I haven't covered yet. And one thing I want to talk about now, since you guys already know I shot with the Sony a7R IV and I shot with the Samyang 35 1.4, I do want to talk about the lighting. When it comes to the lighting, I use two lights that I specifically always want to use whenever I'm shooting in the evening or in low light scenarios, which is the Godox AD600 Pro and the Godox AD400 Pro. These two lights have bright mounting lamps that is going to be perfect for you guys to see, for you and me to see exactly how the light's going to look like on the subject before I even take the photo. Like I said before, I went live during this photo shoot, and I even told you guys who were watching live that I had those mounting lamps on, not just for me, but for everybody out there watching to see how the light was going to fall on Destiny. I positioned the lights in different places, and you can see in real time how the light was affecting her differently as I moved the lights.
Yeah, so right now it's the modeling lamps. We normally don't have it when it's bright and sunny, but they do help as it gets darker, so you can kind of see what you're gonna get.
I have the mounting lamps on so you guys can see her better, because look, if I turn them off,
you can't see anything.
The main light was the Godox AD400 Pro, and the rim light was the Godox AD600 Pro. I chose the Godox AD600 Pro as the rim light specifically because sometimes the 600 Pro, even at the lowest output, might be too strong, might be just a tad strong, and using the 400 Pro, the weaker light, as the main light, having it at the lowest output might be just exactly where I need it to be. So I chose those two lights as the rim and the main, specifically in those setups, the 600 Pro as the rim and the 400 Pro as the main, because of that specific case. The modifier for the main light, which is again the 400 Pro, was the 5-foot octabox. It had been a long time since I used that modifier at a shoot, so I wanted to go ahead and use it. And it wasn't too windy, so I could use it and not have to worry so much. The rim light was the 34-inch Glow Easy Lock Beauty Dish with the white interior. I still need to make a review on that modifier because it's my absolutely favorite one of all time. And I actually used both of these modifiers, the 5-foot Glow Easy Lock and the 34-inch Beauty Dish Easy Lock. You know, Easy Lock Beauty Dish. I used both of these modifiers with double diffusion. So that means there's two diffusion panels, one on the outside that you're seeing and another one on the inside. Both of those are going to make a really soft light for the subject. At this point, I feel like I've done a lot of talking and not showing you guys any of the images yet. I haven't done that yet, so I'm going to do that right now. So the image on the screen right now is Destiny at a different part of the final image where, you know, that I'm talking about this whole video. And I wanted to show you guys this because I wanted you guys to see the progression from where I am right now to how I eventually came across the street and took that other picture. And again, like I said before, I do have a whole live video where I show you guys how I got to this spot, how I went to the next spot where I took the picture that I wanted to make this video on. So for this shot, I honestly wish I had taken a photo without any of the lights on and then one light on and then both lights on, but I didn't. So I'll just go ahead and talk about some of the things that were not favorable going on. But one thing I do want to talk about is the fact that the rim light was exactly where I wanted it to be. I actually wanted it to be further behind her, but of course it was going to start to show up in the shot. And also that was a street and people were passing through, so I didn't want it to be in the way. So I do like the rim light because again, it's just a little bit of a sliver on the side of her, on her jeans and the side of her hand and the side of her cheek. I actually really like where it's falling on her cheek and her neck. Sometimes if you have the rim light a little bit too much in front of the subject, a little bit more on axis where you're positioned, then it can show up a little bit too much and too obtrusive on the face. And I probably will throw an example on the screen right now of that going on so you guys can see that exactly. And in this specific case, it wasn't doing that. I got it exactly where I wanted it to be. And I think what helped with that was the fact that the mounting lamp was on and I could see exactly how the light was going to fall ahead of time. So I didn't get those mistakes. For this specific shot, what I'm not really liking is how much shadow there is on the side of her face on camera right eye. So I thought I was fine with that for this shot and this next shot here, which is very similar. But eventually I was like, you know what? I do want it to be a little bit more illuminated on her face. So I went ahead and I believe I told her, actually I got really lucky with this shot where the hair blew away from her face and it illuminated her face a little bit better. So I did get that. I did edit this one a little bit, so I'm gonna go show you guys how it looks like straight out of camera. So yeah, so I did brighten it up a little bit on the face, but this is how it looks like straight out of camera. But I do want to go on and continue. So I actually did get lucky, or actually did have her kind of do some sort of like motion with her hair so that I can get a little bit of the hair falling, a little bit of action. And what it also did was allowed her face to be a little bit more illuminated. So you can see that as she turned towards the light on the right, the 5-foot octabox with the 400 Pro, you can see her face is illuminated more. And I did take a couple of shots, actually wrong arrow. I took a couple of shots doing that. So it's kind of the same thing where she's moving the hair. I actually like that shot and not so fan of that one. And then I actually took a little bit closer shots, but this one again, you can see that the shadow's a little bit too much in her face. And then the next shot I did, actually, you know what I did? Okay, I took a couple of behind the scenes photos first, which are these ones here. And then you can see Jeff recording video. You can see Ashley doing the live behind the scenes on Instagram. And then now you can see that I did move the light just a little bit, but then after that, I did tell her to position her pose a little differently with her arm down. By moving her arm down with the hair on her arm, it kind of moved it away. So that kind of made a little bit more light show up on her face. And then after that, I think I took one more shot just to, in case, you know, I wanted a little bit more shadow. So she went from lifting her face to lifting it a little bit, or lowering it a little bit, and that gave me this shot. Somebody mentioned the other day that I should take a photo from the model's perspective, but I didn't do that exactly like that because then I would have to have a wide angle and it would distort everything that was going on. You know, things might look farther away than they are. So I did take kind of, I still took that perspective, but with the same setup, with the same lens. So you can see that I took this shot here. You can see Ashley on the right there. You can see Jeff right here. You can see Roland right there, who is also at the photo shoot. A friend of mine, Sanchez_Roland on Instagram. And you can see all the setup exactly how it is. So I wanted to show you guys this setup because it kind of gives you a better perspective on how the light is actually falling and how it's positioned. I think in future photo shoots, I will take more different kind of angles at the behind the scenes so you guys can see exactly how the light is positioned, because I actually do have the light a little bit feathered in front of her. So you can kind of see that from this angle, but it would be better at more of an angle where the light's falling, where the light's positioned, so you can see how feathered or not it is. But as I took this shot, I knew that I wanted to kind of move on. And actually, you know what? I'm lying here. After I took this shot, I noticed the sky. The sky was really nice and colorful, and I wanted to make use of that sky. But it's one thing to see an interesting thing going on in a location, and it's another thing to take a photo using that thing that you were drawn to. So I saw the beautiful sky, but it took me a couple of minutes, maybe like 2 or 3, to figure out exactly how I wanted to use it. So I did go across the street, and I was like, you know what? I just need to take a picture with this guy. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I just need nice, interesting lines in the background, and I need to place myself in a direction where the light is going to show up, that light that I wanted. So I did take this shot right here. But after I took this shot, 2 things struck me. I knew that I wanted the ambient to be a little bit more apparent, so it's a little too underexposed in the background. And actually, you know what? The second thing that I wanted to mention, which is how the light's falling on her skin, I don't figure that out until I think after I take this second shot. So after I took this shot here, I knew that, and again, this is not edited, this is not unedited, this is edited. So this is how the shot looks like unedited. This is edited. I did alter the colors a bit. But after I took that second shot, I knew if I brought the light in closer, it'd impact the skin a little bit more. The highlights would be much better to my opinion. So I went ahead and moved that light closer. You can also see the stand on the bottom left. It's not showing up in this shot, but you can see that it's showing up in this shot, this shot right here. So I brought it closer to impact the skin a little bit better and be a little bit softer. But because I took a shot with it in the frame, I needed to take a shot without it in the shot. Yeah, I said shot way too many times, but I took a photo with the octabox in the frame and then without. So you guys can see that right here. So I actually do have the light off in the main light, but I didn't take a shot without the light off completely. Because again, I did have the modeling lamps on these lights on, and they were both at 100%. So even though I do have this shot right here, kind of showing no lights on, it still is the modeling lamp on at 100%. So I guess the best thing to show you would be maybe this. But again, this shot right here is also even with the modeling lamps at 100%. So it's kind of close to how she looked like completely dark. So I'm gonna go ahead and break down the edit now because I pretty much described everything about how this photo was created so far. So one thing I did do to this shot, so obviously you can see it looks completely different here in terms of color and different here. So one thing I did was change the white balance, I believe. This is how it was as shot. Obviously it's way too warm. As you can see, it's way too warm. So I went ahead and reduced the color balance from 6300 to 4600. And I also changed the tint too, from 10 to 14. One thing I always do to my images is boost the color, which you can do with the calibration area, blue primary slider, the saturation slider. I boosted it to 80. I went ahead and added a little bit of sharpness, quite a bit amount of sharpness from, usually I do 60, but I did 80 on this shot. And then I adjusted the colors in the hue, saturation, luminance area. This is the hue adjustments, the saturation adjustment. I didn't do anything to the luminance, no. And I added a little bit of vibrance as well. And some things I did with the adjustment brush option in Lightroom, which is a shortcut to K, is I made her eyes stand out quite a bit. When I hover over the selection, you can see the stuff that's in red is what I adjusted. So you can see the eyes. This is how they look like before I added them or made them a little bit brighter. And this is after. Here's the behind the scenes. Roland was taking her jacket for her. So I didn't get a clean behind the scenes, but this is a behind the scenes. Now that you guys have seen how I took the photo and how I adjusted it in Lightroom, let me show you how I finalized that photo in Photoshop. So the very first thing I had to do was, of course, remove that octabox. So I did so by adding that shot without the octabox in the top left and kind of just covered it and kind of just digitally erased the octabox. So I removed the octabox, removed distractions using the clone snap tool and the patch tool. And I also altered the colors quite a bit. So it went from looking like this here before, actually, you know, make the image bigger. It went from looking like this to looking like this. So I added a couple of purplish tones and reddish tones to the skin. After doing those effects, I was seeing a little bit too much color in the jacket. Like I felt like there's a little bit of purplish tones in the jacket. So I went ahead and sampled a grayish tone of the jacket, painted it over the jacket and changed the layer to color, which kind of just, you know, remove that color cast that I was feeling was going on the jacket. So I just wanted it to just be just be a simple color on the jacket. After that, I went ahead and did a round of frequency separation, which I don't really use for facial retouching mainly now. I use dodge and burn for that. But one thing I wasn't liking was the bags underneath her eyes. So I used frequency separation to kind of reduce that a bit. But you can also see that I went ahead and just kind of ironed out the wrinkles in her shirt, because that's something I actually use frequency separation more for. The second to the last thing I did was dodge and burn, which is my favorite thing ever. So you can see exactly what I did with dodge and burn here. This is how it looks like without dodge and burn, and this is how it looks like with dodge and burn. And of course, the very last thing right here that it shows you is that I did add a little bit of purplish tones to the image, so you guys can see it more in the shadows. So what I did was sample some of the purples over here, painted them over here in the shadow area, and then changed the blending mode to color, and then reduced the output because I didn't want it to be too purplish like that right there. I wanted it to just be subtle, so I added it to 30% opacity, and after that I was done. But I did have this black and white layer to help me when I dodged and burned. I do want to make a video on dodge and burn and why I use this black and white layer, so that's going to come sometime this year. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I did to this photo. I do try to make my edits very subtle, so I don't like to do anything too drastic, which you guys can see exactly how it looks like before and after Photoshop. So one of the biggest things, I removed the octabox and the colors and removed the bags underneath the eyes. But aside from that, I've covered this photo way too much now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the very next video.